Hello, welcome guys. We're having another live today. We're going to be talking about study permits in Canada. So if that's a topic that you're interested in, stick around. We're going to be talking about that. And just please remember, oh, sorry, I don't have my stand today. But please remember that I am actually live on YouTube as well. So I'm going to be answering questions from there as well. Just a few things, of course, as this is a live forum, please make sure you maintain your own confidentiality, and also um, uh, anything I say today is not meant to be legal advice. This is, you guys can ask about like study permit questions and things like that, but we have to maintain, just have to remember that what I say is not meant to be legal advice. If you guys do want legal advice, I have all my information on my bio for that. And how I like to talk about study permits is, or just overall my lives, is that I'll talk a little bit, I'll share a little bit of information, and then, as you guys bring in the questions, I'm happy to answer those too. Um, so we're going to keep this one short, maybe just half an hour for us to talk a little bit, and we'll go from there. So yeah, again, questions are going to be coming from my YouTube and my TikTok. So if you guys want to just start throwing questions, that's great. So something, of course, we should get started is that something interesting that I saw today, and I really want to share with everyone. I saw a video about someone discussing how a study permit is not your route to permanent residency. And I wanted to reiterate that sentiment, right? Although there are certain pathways that do make it easier for you to obtain permanent residency through your studies. For example, North Bay has a really great opportunities for international students. There's specifically like rural areas that have this um, type of programs. It does not necessarily mean that it leads you to permanent residency, and I think a lot of people have really high expectations when they come in for things like that. Um, if you know you should always have the intention of having a temporary stay when it comes to a study permit, but if you intend to have a permanent residency or hope that leads to that eventually. Hi Banish, I love that you do so many lives. I need you to start following your lead. Thank you, Jamoki. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I try to have as many as I possibly can. And I think it's like a great way to connect with our audience too. So yeah, I totally invite you. If you ever want to, like, maybe we can have a live together. We can talk about different subjects, and that'll be great too. Guys, if you don't know Jamoke, sorry, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I do apologize. But if Jamoke is a great RCIC here on TikTok as well. I really do recommend you guys following her. She shares really good information, like really, really good. So make sure you follow her too. And she's one of the great TikTok RCICs that are on here too. All right, I got a question. Hi, is it risky to withdraw my PGWP application and reapply? My study permit extension just got approved. Thank you, Jamoki. Um, okay, so why would you? Okay, so again, guys, I just want to make sure that you understand it's not legal advice, and I would say that if you cannot ask questions that are just specific to you, I'm happy to answer this a little bit, but the rest of it would have to probably be a consultation. I'll tell you why. The reason why we ask for consultation is because, a lot of times you think just one sentence or one little information is going to make a big difference in, like, can answer your question when there's so much more to remember here. Um, so I guess what I would even ask is why would you withdraw, right? Because I'm not really understanding. Is it risky to withdraw my PGWP application and reapply? My study permit extension just got approved. Um, so yeah, I'm just sorry. I'm not really understanding fully your situation to understand that, to be very frank. Okay. How much do you charge for consultation? Well, I have like 4 different type of consultations. I have my quick one, which is about $80. It's about 15 minutes. Just generally for people who, they just have quick questions. I have 120 for 30 minutes, and then I have my refugee one, which is about 150, but that's a full hour. And then I also have emergency consultation, if you need a consultation less than 24 hours. So those are like kind of my prices, and all of them are on my website that you can just book directly there, or if you want, you can e-transfer and I can book you right in. So going a little further, guys, anytime you withdraw an application, I would say be very careful. Either way, make sure you have all the information. And the reason why I say this is it's still part of your record, right? And even if you've applied and you withdraw, it still is part of the record. IRCC is going to see it. Now, it's not going to necessarily really be against you. Only certain type of applications are. Not that it's really against you. So, for example, refugee, if you withdraw, that has serious consequences. One that a lot of people don't realize. But I would say make sure if you ever are withdrawing your application with anything, you have the full facts and information before you do so. Maybe speak to your counsel if you already have one. I always, keep an open door policy with my clients, and I say, like, anytime you have a question or you want to withdraw something, I do focus more on refugee and IRB cases. That's kind of like the center of it. So any type of like withdrawal for me is like you have to speak to me, don't even think about withdrawing anything. Or at least I ask them not to without talking to me, because it can have really big consequences. And I'll tell you guys why. Specifically, the type of application I work on is a refugee mostly, and they have a departure order that will come in effect if they withdraw. So just something to keep in mind. Each application is obviously different. Temporary type of applications, from what I understand, don't necessarily have the biggest consequences, but some other stuff can, right? So, sorry, I missed a few questions here. And guys, you don't have to ask me questions about just specifically with study permit. You can answer questions about refugee as well and things like that. I'm happy to answer. Okay. So I got one for Bill C-12. Bill C-12 pass. If Bill C-12 pass, can they affect applications which are already claimed in IRB and received less complex? See, okay, so what I want you guys to understand, Bill C-12 is a big bill. It's a big proposal. It's not one little element here or there. It's a huge bill. And not everything's related to immigration. Some of the aspects are actually related to the border. Like, for example, controlling the border, making sure certain drugs don't come through our borders and things like that. But there are elements of the asylum process that it will affect. And there are certain aspects of it that can still affect you even though you are referred to the IRB. What I think you're referring to here is the time limit for someone to apply and the cancellation of asylum claims. IRCC has already said that they don't intend to use like the right to be able to cancel applications on asylum claims. And generally, if you've already been referred to IRB, you don't have to worry about the time limit for you to apply because you've already been referred. Now, there are other aspects of it. For example, if you do choose to withdraw, departure orders and removal orders will be processed a lot faster. So those are some things that could come into effect. Now, they added one little element that I'm personally a little bit concerned about. I don't have all the information, which is that the minister can state that you're ineligible. So the minister or the officer, I can't remember. There was one element where it said the officer or the minister can determine that you're ineligible. But that one is something I would look into more. It's just one little element that is mentioned in Bill C-12 that we should keep an eye on. And again, guys, this proposal or bill is just being amended and different things coming out. We had our first Senate reading. We're waiting for the second and third. So we don't have all the information yet. But in those aspects, to answer you more carefully, I think the aspects that you're thinking about don't necessarily affect you. Refugee claim applied June 5th, 2025. I think in those aspects, you should be fine. So they can remove application from IRB? No. From what it's reading right now, I don't see anything that says that they can remove people. Um, but again, there's one aspect. I don't have all the information, to be frank. It is a bill still, and there's still like a lot more to learn about it. There's one element I'm concerned about, but again, not something you need to be concerned about until the bill passes, right? Because guys, this bill can be amended, and it's just at the readings. And the Senate did say that they intend to carefully review this bill because it's very controversial, right? And see how it affects society and how it affect like the applicants and things like that. All right, sorry, I missed a few questions here. Hello, guys. For anyone who says hello, I'm sorry if I didn't respond. But came in Canada after 1 year apply. You should be okay. Again, that rule has not come into effect yet, from my understanding. But again, if you're concerned about something, maybe speak. If you have a counsel, talk to them. But from my impression, from what you stated, you've already been referred to the Immigration Refugee Board, right? If there was an element that you weren't eligible, you would not be referred to them. And that's what they say. They said if you've been here for longer than a year, you will not be referred to the Refugee Protection Division, which it seems that you have. Sorry, guys. So I have a question. Are work permits getting renewed? What kind of work permits, MJ? All right. If anyone else is a newbie to lives, you just have to tap your phone to send hearts. Thank you, Jamoki. Jamok. Please, again, tell me if I'm pronouncing it right. I'm always really scared that I'm not pronouncing people's names right, and I have that fear because my name is also like a little difficult for people to pronounce. So I'm very careful how to announce other people's names too. All right, let's see. I open work permit temporary residency. So I'm not sure what type of work permit you have because temporary. Again, I'm not really understanding. Is it like a closed work permit or like a? You are pronouncing her name right. Okay, per se, perfect. Thank you. It just depends on the type of it, and they are like I haven't heard anything about work permits not being renewed. No, I don't think you just have to have strong cases now. The problem is right now is that IRCC is scrutinizing every type of application more and more each day. So you just have to present strong applications, even renewal. We see more and more each day that simple applications like postgraduate work permit. Well, it's not simple, but you know what I mean. Like they're kind of like they're open work permits. They're basically, at least my experience, I've never, prior to like the new government coming in and the scrutiny over immigrants, I didn't see a lot of problems with PGWP. Rarely did I ever see rejections. But after this, whatever you want to call debacle with immigration, people are getting rejected. It's getting harder. A lot of students are getting their postgraduate work permits denied. Extensions, sorry, not PGW, but other type of work permits are getting denied. So I would say be very careful with your work permit extensions. Be thorough. Show evidence of all like financial evidence or like your intent to be here temporary. That's really important as well to ensure that you have a strong application because again, more than ever are they rejecting people. Okay. All right. Sorry, I missed a few questions. How long before do you have to apply for renewals? It's so close. It's Jumake, Jumake. Care rhymes with me. I love it. Okay, Jumake. I'm going to remember that. I do apologize. I probably have to say a few more times to remember. If you guys don't know, you guys might know this about me, but I'm really good at faces, not good with names. You can have like the easiest name and I will probably forget. I'll know you. I'm just like, hey, you, what's up? But I promise I learn. I do my very best. But faces, I never forget. Jumoke. Okay, Jumoke. With me. I'm actually going to remember that. Rhymes with me. How long does the SPP background check take? Study permit. Sorry, what's an SPP? I might just be blanking. Will the Bill C-12 affect the who already applied for the work permit claim accepted 2025 April? What do you mean claim was accepted? Like, are you a protected person? Because that's a really fast acceptance if that's the case. Or do you mean that it was referred to the Immigration Refugee Board? I was applying for July 25 work permit extension inside Canada. Until now, I don't know what's going on. I find that a lot of people are stuck behind the background check. That's where it seems to be stopping a little bit. It could just be that they're just processing. Hopefully you applied and you're in maintained status. Also it depends on what type of work permit it is, but yeah. Oh, spousal sponsorship application. Okay. All right. But that's where I'm finding that a lot of people have like stalled. Let me go back here. Sorry, I missed someone's question. How long does an SPP background take? Okay, give me a few. A spousal sponsorship application. I need to figure out how to do TikTok lives on my laptop. It'll be easier. How long does this? Okay. So spousal sponsorship. Background. See, background is always like the longest parts that I find that every application takes. My concentration was a lot with individuals from Middle East, specifically Iran, where we found that took a few months. Some people I'm noticing taking longer. Some people it takes a little bit faster. Also depends on where you're applying from too. Sorry, I don't know if you mentioned where you were applying for. And here, maybe I'll give you some information why background checks are taking long, guys. A little while ago, I think about it a year ago, the IRCC came out and said that they're doing thorough background checks now, and this was because specifically, and actually, it's being sent to CSIS. So some of them, not all of them, but some of the applications or background checks are being sent to CSIS because an incident had happened in Canada. Mainly, they were refugee claimants, but there were individuals who had passed through the background check, and they were members of a I don't want to, get them have anything happen to my TikTok. So it's like a T word organization. Um, and they were actually planning something in Canada. Now, there was a lot of scrutiny with IRCC because basically they went through the cracks. So now, more than ever, a lot of applications are being sent to CSIS to do a thorough background check. Not saying this is the case for everyone, but I just think background checks are just overall going to take longer because of backlog and also closer look at everyone's identity. I mean, it was already like that before, but now more than ever because, Canada's safety is at the prime. It's very important for us, and IRCC was definitely questioned for this. So now they're like more than ever. All right, we're going to take longer, and I see it a lot. I will say with refugee claimants, I see it a lot. That's kind of where they're stalling, and generally they don't get a hearing until their screening is over. So that's majority of the time why they're waiting is because of that. I'm horrible with faces, but great with names. We got the opposite problem. Together, we would be like the perfect person to remember people's names and faces. Okay, is it normal to get biometric less than 24 hours after submitting visa? Huda, you're actually very lucky. Um, it's totally normal. And this is actually this type of like getting the request for biometric after 24 hours. Um, what's kind of like the processing time I saw for biometric proposed or requests, pre-pandemic kind of timeline. And I still see it from time to time. Some people get that, especially if it's a temporary resident type of visa or application. But also depends on the country that you're coming from too. But that is phenomenal if you did get that. Will the Bill C-12 affect the open who are received a work permit claim accepted 2025? Again, guys, what do you mean claim accept? I think I already asked that one from you. Stage 1 for my husband's spousal sponsorship was approved in June 2020. We apply in Canada. Okay, yeah, so I'm assuming it has to do, the background check has to just to do with security checks, and they take one of the longer phases of the process. I wouldn't be too worried. Um, honestly, background checks. Now, keep in mind, if you guys believe that something is taking way, way too long, and it's more than usual, there is a legal pathway you can take, but only lawyers can do this. It's called the writ of mandamus. And essentially, it's demanding IRCC to give an answer, essentially, a decision. Um, now, again, only lawyers can do this because it goes to the federal court. It's almost like a judicial review. Um, but it is something. And only, I would say, if you really think it's being unreasonable, the timeline, usually people who are affected by this are sorry, I'm just thinking, sorry, someone was walking by my office and they got distracted. um, these are people who've been waiting for years. So if that is something you want to do, I would speak with a lawyer. But again, they might tell you you're not eligible, it's not a really, or it's not a good time to apply yet. You can't just have been waiting a couple, from my understanding, again, a lawyer can confirm this. You can't have been waiting just a couple of months and be like, well, it's taking too long, I'm going to go do written mandamus. Uh, do ask them what is considered reasonable time to wait. Processing time I think comes into play too. So that's an option if you want to have. How long permanent residency application take for protected person inside Canada? Couple years. It might have start to get better soon, but couple of years. Yeah, and I'm really sorry to say that, but that's the unfortunate reality. Okay, I'm out of status and I got a spousal sponsorship end up after Portal 2. They're issuing me COPR and they want me to go back home first. Okay, I'm gonna suggest that you go and speak to a counsel in the situation, especially if you're out of status. And again, guys, please remember specific questions like this is not the best to be asking on live. A, to maintain your own confidentiality, and B, it's not legal advice, and sometimes in situations you should be looking at legal advice, especially for individuals who are out of status. I had someone come on my live yesterday, and they're saying that they're out of status and they were in Canada for a really long time, and their counsel told them to wait until they get a PRA or something like that, which I even said I had a concern about that because and I'll say this, you should not be waiting for CBSA to make a move. You should not. I see how they treat people. Detention reviews or detentions are going higher more than ever. Is that, yeah, I think that's right. I saw the statistics. I requested the statistics and I saw that it was rising. So please, guys, don't do that. Don't. And if you are in that type of situation, talk to counsel with good reputation. That's all I'm gonna say. It just sounded a little bit weird why that, and I'm just only saying this because I just want to bring back the seriousness of out of status, someone being out of status, um, because Canada at this very moment removal orders are going like this, like they're not joking around, especially if you have some sort of concern, like you're inadmissible for certain reasons or whatever it is. Those type of removals get processed faster. So please don't wait. Speak to your counsel and try to regularize your status. All right. We renewed work permit in November and approved last week. We got work permit today. Okay, great. Line, have they passed it already? No, they have not passed Bill C-12 yet, guys. So I don't worry just yet. It's not passed. But from what I understand, it's we're looking at for it to be come into effect probably spring. But don't quote me on this because God knows how fast they're trying to pass this law. So just be very careful that it can be passed very quickly. Okay. All right. Do they usually accept claim which give less complex and proof documents are clear and tight, right? What do you mean clear and right? So less complex cases with a refugee claim is generally, how do I word it? If you get a file review, generally the thing is that the minister's not intervening. There's no credibility issue. There's no real big concern to the file. However, and I've had this experience with clients, you can have a file review and they can still request a hearing from you afterwards and say, no, actually, we want a hearing. So keep that in mind. Hi, are there any opportunities for an immigrant arriving in Canada on a tourist visa? What type of opportunities? How does it take to get? How long does it take if you apply for PR after your hearing? Can you work? Yes, as long as your work permit is up to date, you'll still have to pay for your work permit. Well, you'll have to pay for your work permit. Um, because remember, PR does not give you the right to apply or study, right? Um, so you have to apply for one of those statuses, especially if you want to work as a work permit. And it can take a couple of years actually. Is it a good sign? I cannot tell you, Huda, and I would not say it's a good sign or a bad sign if it was requested. It's just process. That just means that they sent the biometrics a little bit faster. There's no good or bad. I've seen people who got the request really quickly and then they were rejected, and I've seen people who got it and were not were able to obtain their visitor visa. So it does not mean that anything. Just means that you have to go through the motions of the process. All right, guys, I think that's it. Right now, we're going to have, can a tourist immigrant get hired on arrival provided that he meets an employer's requirements? It's not about the employer's requirements. Employer's requirements are nothing to do with IRCC. They have to meet the IRCC eligibility. You cannot be working in Canada without a work permit. And if they do find that out, you could be found non-compliant to your conditions, because a visitor visa is just that you come and visit. So if they are intending to do something like that, which again it can be an issue with IRCC, right? They could, if they really wanted to, they could say like, your intention was to come be a visitor. I haven't really seen them do that, but I can see I've seen more like situations when they're it's happened. Let me just say it just happened. But you have to meet work permit requirements, and it's not that easy, right? processing time, eligibility, the employer's eligibility if it's an employer-specific work permit. So keep that in mind. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to have another live at 6:30 that's more specific to refugee asylum process. So if you guys want to come back for that time. Also, remember, if you guys need any consultations, my portal, not my portal, my website is on my bio. If you just click on my face, you can see my website. It's bsims.com. And you can book a consultation if you have any specific questions. And until next time, guys, I'll see you. If you guys are coming for the refugee claim live, I'll see you then. Bye for now, guys. Bye-bye. Bye, Jumoke.